You were talking about the internet. You yourself are on the internet a fair bit. You see your LinkedIn posts. They're long, they're involved, and you've garnered quite a big following as well. Was that something that you figured would happen, or why did you do that in the first place?
Before the pandemic, I would have coffee or lunch with my friends, and we'll really argue about stuff. We'll talk about issues, and I'll give my views. Someone else will give his views, and that's fun. That's why we meet people, catch up with them. Then the pandemic happened. There was a circuit breaker, lockdown. I couldn't go out. So I decided, okay, maybe I should write about the things that bother me, and I should write it somewhere so that we can have a good discussion. I decided LinkedIn was the best platform. They talk about work, they talk about serious stuff, and when you post something, they read it seriously. If they don't agree, they'll write a comment to explain why they don't agree, and you can have an interesting discussion. So a lot of times people tell me, oh, I read your post, but what I found more interesting is all the comments after that. Some people will say, no, this is rubbish. And some people saying, well, you are rubbish, and so on, but in a polite way. Sometimes I would want to say something about a government policy. Sometimes I want to say, this government policy is wrong, and the government should do something else. Basically, well, if I was the government, I would do it this way. But I thought, that's quite scary for me to say. I don't really want to take on people. So I didn't say, if I was the government of Singapore, I would do this. I said, if I was the king of Singapore, then I would do this. And that's to make it more lighthearted. Because we all know that there isn't a king of Singapore yet. But it's something that I can be more whimsical about. Now that the lockdown is over, I have more work to do. So it's hard to keep writing, but whenever something bothers me, I'll still go and write about it. I think as we get older, we become more confident, more certain about our views. So that's one thing good about growing old. We're supposedly wiser now, and we have no problems saying that we don't accept this or we don't accept that. I think when we are growing up, when we're younger, in our 20s or 30s, we're still trying to understand the world, and by the time we reach our later years, we think, okay, it's time to let the world know our pearls of wisdom.
You've got something out almost every week, right? So you've obviously got a lot of points that you want to make a point about.
Yes, it's because it's Singapore. I write about the law most of the time. And in Singapore, believe it or not, the law is a very big part of our lives. Whether it's about 377A of the Penal Code, which criminalizes homosexual behavior. When the government abolished it and they amended the constitution to say that marriage is between a man and a woman, something like that. It's a bit more complicated. I'm paraphrasing. There's a lot of legal aspects to it, and it's worth a discussion. When the government talks about the death penalty, that's law, but it's also a topic that is very social, has many aspects to it. So every week there's some law issue that comes up. But I also like to write about education, because I think that in Singapore, education is becoming very elitist. When I was younger, I was very lucky to go to a very good school, and that was life-changing for me. I met very good teachers, good facilities, but more importantly, I met a lot of rich people, and you might think, what is the big deal? For me, when I was living in a 3-room HDB, and I could go to my friend's house, and it was some mansion in District 10. The guy has drivers and servants, big swimming pool in his house. I could see, oh, okay, so this is also Singapore. This is also a part of this world. I'll be interested, how come your father has this? My father doesn't have this. What does your father do? How do I get something like that? I think school is very important because it gives young people a chance to have ambitions. You meet kids who are just like you, and they have more, but you can beat them in class. Maybe you have more than them one day. But that's old Singapore. Today's Singapore, maybe it's less so. In old Singapore, a school, I think there would be more kids who are from the neighborhood, from the heartlands, mixing with rich kids. In today's Singapore, a lot of our elite schools are located in Bukit Timah, for example, in rich areas. There are no HDB flats in Bukit Timah. So you get a different profile of students. Maybe they all know each other. Maybe all their parents know each other. Maybe they all go to the same clubs or the same places of worship. Or what I mean is a very close circle. So you have very good education, very good opportunities, but they're not available to the whole of Singapore. I feel that that's probably the most important change that Singapore has to make. We have to put the elite schools back into the heartlands. Previously, last year, I proposed that each school have a quota. Each elite school have a quota of a certain percentage of students that are allowed to enter, even though their parents are not alumni, they're not related to anybody in school, they didn't donate money. It's just to pick some kids from the other side of the tracks and put them in a very good environment. Recently, my school, ACS, announced that it would move from Bukit Timah, Bakar Road, to Tengah, which is a HDB new town near Jurong West, further out, Bukit Batok. Bukit Batok and Bukit Timah are very different. Okay, they are both Bukits, but one is a Batok. So the profile will be very different, and I'm very proud of that. Give them a chance to give the kids in the West a chance to go to a good school, and let's see. From that, maybe we get a next top CEO or entrepreneur or minister or prime minister. Maybe, right?
So what does that say about every school being a good school?
It's true. Every school is a good school, but some schools are gooder than others. Some schools are excellent. Every school is a good school means that you can get a good education in any neighborhood school. You will get reasonable facilities. You will get a good mix of teachers, but they will be, I would say, the student body there will have a different attitude. So I think that's what's different. If you put a couple of elite schools here and there, maybe the students will see that, oh, there's something they can aspire to. Maybe they'll feel proud of their school, and maybe that's a good start.
Yeah. Okay.
So my proposal, the whole of Bukit Timah cannot have any elite schools. Or if you can, then if you have one elite school in Bukit Timah, you must open a branch in Sengkang or in Simei or some heartland somewhere. And they must have equal facilities.